Hello everybody, I'm SJM. This is episode 32 of Terrafirmacraft Reditus 2 pack. Pack is still in development, so the mod pack creator is still doing updates and considering changes and things like that on this, so things may change from the playthrough I did here, which was in beta. I think I started beta 14 and it's up to 16 now. But I've come to a point where I think that as a general rule, Terrafirmacraft has bow-beaten me into submission. So this is probably curtains for me for playing Terrafirmacraft moving forward. Unfortunately, I just cannot get over the grind. And that's, I got as far as steel here, which just kind of seems to be, like the base tip of the iceberg. And from here, we just only need to go further and further and further into just producing a ton of steel to get into the better TFC metals. Then that's the blue and the red would be the ultimate steel tier, which is tier 5. Steel itself is only tier 3, so there's another tier 4 and then a tier 5 after that, if I recall correctly. So I do have things lined up here to show you the path on how to move forward within TFC itself, and then in the pack there is quite a few different ways to go about making it easier, but you do have to get over that initial grind first before you can actually get there. So if you want to grind out just a whole bunch of regular steel, you can start getting into immersive engineering. The blast bricks are an interesting take on the recipe. I kind of actually really like these here. So you'll need to make some fire bricks, which we've made there in TFC. So that's just grinding out a whole bunch of fire bricks. You get tons of mortar super easy, so that's not any kind of a limiting factor. But getting the fire bricks, you just need the fire clay, right? And then you just do that napping recipe there and just get out all your fire bricks. So that gets you to there. And then the other components, steel screws and steel strips, just made with regular steel. So you'll just need to put two pieces of steel together, hammer it out into a sheet, combine it with a chisel, and you'll get 4 steel strips. That gets you your steel strip for the middle. And then steel screws come from a little bit of a rabbit hole, but it's not very bad at all. Just a steel bolt, which is made from a steel rod, gives you 2 steel bolts. The steel rod, again, chiseling off a long steel rod, and you make the steel rod on the anvil with whatever hammering recipe you got there, hit type of thing out of a steel ingot. So each steel ingot will give you 2 steel rods. 2 steel rods will give you 4 steel screws, and that'll give you 4 blast bricks, and then you'll need 7 of this recipe because you'll need 27 blast brick to make the blast furnace. Blast furnace gives you shortcut recipes to getting to things like the black steel. So where if you just take your high carbon steel ingot and put it into the blast furnace, throw some fuel into it, and then you'll get your black steel ingot. I don't know about the ratio of fuel to thing, but it's in other mod packs that I've played with Immersive, it's a super slow machine until you get to the upgraded tiers of the blast furnace, the improved blast furnace, where you'll need to get some RF power going, or the arc furnace, where you need to get a lot of RF power going. So the black carbon steel ingot is the next step along the way, and we get that by welding together a weak steel ingot and a pig iron ingot. So the pig iron ingot is the intermediate step between when you pull pour the steel out of there, then that comes out as a pig iron ingot, which then you hammer on the anvil to get to steel that way. So that's where the pig iron comes from. And then the weak steel itself is its own melted alloying recipe. And if you just go to the alloys page in the book, it'll give you all of those things there. So steel, nickel, and black bronze. Black bronze is made with copper, silver, and gold. And then you just put all those into a urn with the proper ratios, throw it into a pit kiln, and then you'll get some of the weak steel out of that, which then you have to weld together to get your black bronze, or your high carbon steel ingot. And your high carbon steel ingot, with that you just put it on the anvil, and then you'll get your black steel ingot from there. Once you get yourself a whole shit ton of black steel, then you can start getting into your blue and weak and red steel from there. So these weak blue steel and red steel ingots come from the recipes as well. So they're just in the weak red steel is here, blue steel is here, and their components. So the bismuth bronze, we've made tons of that in this playthrough itself because I had access to the zinc and the bismuth. And the sterling silver is right here, just copper, and you'll need to start finding some silver, which is out and about in the world, not hard to find very much at all if you're paying attention. And then the red steel is brass, which is here, and then the rose gold, which is on the next one there, just copper and gold. So that's all well and good there. And then the if you would do the uses on these there, you just have to weld these weak blue steels with some more black steel, and then that gets you into the top tier of carbon steel, or the blue steel. So the use on this high carbon steel ingot is you just hammer it out on the anvil, and then you get to your blue steel. And that's your top tier of Terrafirmacraft steel. Of course, you'll need to get 14 of these bad boys together to make yourself the anvil before you can even get into making some of the tools out of it. So that is what the part of the grind that's kind of beating me down. And then the other part of the grind is that before you can start getting into immersive, or you need a ton of steel to get into immersive from past knowledge. I'm not even going to show you here what you need to get there. And then the other step for getting to Tinkers, which I really did hope to get through, was I was hoping that I could get the Tinker's complement things going and then just cook up stone in there to get my seared stone. But that didn't work either, because the recipes, and I didn't quite pay attention to it when I was floating through JEI earlier in the pack, was that for seared stone. So casting, it only comes out of the proper smeltery. You can't get it out of the Tinker's Construct smeltery. So from the proper smeltery, you can put in any of the TFC stones there, or the TFC cobbles, or sharpening kits, etc., etc. Any of the Tinkers, if you've made any of those. But out of the Tinker's complement, the only way you can pour out seared stone is by putting seared stone into it in the first place, or seared bricks. And then grout, there is no recipe for it in JEI. So the grout is the stuff that we were making with the hot water. So, and you don't get this proper grout from Binker's Bondstruct. You have to make the grout bricks, which we get from the grout, which we get by doing the liquid clay and the stone, or the aggregate, sorry, in the barrel, and then the liquid clay is the hot spring water plus the clay, which is what I was doing, going down deep into the earth, draining this complete hot spring here. Thought it might have been interesting to get down to the bottom to see how deep those guys go, but just for the few little pieces that I've got here, I've used up a ton of hot water, so I could just imagine getting a proper smeltery up and going is just going to be just ton more of grinding, and not to speak of the amount of, to get the amount of steel that we need to progress is just a metric boatload of grinding trees to make charcoal. I guess in my steel making episode there, the way to make it a little bit quicker is to have tons of excess coal either sitting on top of your thing here, so you never go below your 1-to-1 ratio, like, so you always have 4 pieces of coal in there. So the next thought that I had on that was if you could get a dropper and a button, and the dropper would just need you to go out and find redstone, which in Terrafirmacraft you get from cinnabar or cryolite, and this can be found. I haven't seen any myself, so it might just be a lot deeper down, or just more rare, or I saw it and didn't worry about it because I wasn't too worried about redstone at the time. But I think you should be able to find surface samples of the cinnabar. I just don't ever remember seeing it. Maybe in one of my test worlds, but that's such a long time ago now, I can't rightly say for sure if I've seen that there. Let me think, were there other mods in this? Mods pack that I was interested in going for. The horsepower stuff is really good for getting some things going in there. Oh, I guess the one thing I didn't note where there was that in the latest update, there is now a new ratio of melting down the the Terrafirmacraft ore samples in the Tinker's Construct, either the Tinker's Complement melter or the Tinker's Construct smeltery, where you get, it's a 1-to-1 ratio when you pour it out. So you get 100 units into the smelter or the melter or the smeltery, and that'll give you 1 ingot, whereas before there was a weird conversion where it was like 114 or 144 units needed to get an ingot. So that's really good that the mod authors cleaned that up with his own mod version in here. So that's a really good thing about this mod if you are into the super grind that it is to get there. And I think that's Binkers, if I'm not mistaken, that mod that's correcting those issues. So just going through these here. Construct's Armory, I'm not a fan of the Construct's armor at all. Maybe because I just haven't figured it out, maybe because it's just more min-maxing and doing all that kind of stuff I'm just not interested in, and I'd rather just make iron armor or steel armor, and that's all the mod packs that I've ever played with Construct's Armory in it there. I just couldn't be bothered to do it. I mean, I have done it, and that's how I figured out how I wasn't done it. Astacore carts is pretty interesting for if you want to go out on big mining missions or big gathering missions. You can get a nice thing to carry around a ton of extra space instead of getting multiple backpacks. So Astacore carts would be something to look into there. A few things here that I don't ever get into because I'm not such a builder myself. So like block craftery, bookshelves, and some of the other aesthetic type mods that are in here. Chisels and bits. Oh my god, don't even get me started on chisels and bits, because you can lose years of playtime screwing around with that mod there. If you're used to it and you know what you're doing with it, you can make some super amazing, just outlandishly good looking things in Minecraft with chisels and bits. But for myself, I don't have the patience for it. Let's see what else was in here that I don't think there was anything else in here that I was super interested in going for. I'd actually never looked into the storage drawers thing. Always use them in the mod packs I play with, just haven't gotten as far as thinking about getting into it because there's such a diversity of things to put in storage. Storage drawers almost seems like it's not going to be that useful, but I guess it could be in some ways, especially when you get into doing a lot of the super grinding stuff. If you want to just get stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of the ores. Yeah, so again, aesthetic stuff with the macaws items there. Probably some pretty neat builds that you can do with that stuff. I tried it out in some when putting on cheat modes there, like going into creative mode, but didn't really tickle my fancy at all to get too much into that stuff there. And I guess the one thing that I do miss in this pack is that there isn't much fighting at all. So if you want to go down and start doing the caving thing, then you do get a good amount of fighting in down there. And then other than that, the only real fighting you get is when in the first, I don't know, 20 hours or so until you get yourself up to iron. But once you get up to iron, any of those surface Terrafirmacraft mobs like the cougars and the dire wolves and all those kinds of things, they just become super trivial pretty much once you get past iron tier stuff. So just take one last quick look at the storage drawer stuff because I'm not sure how expensive that they've made it with the Terrafirmacraft going on. So I was just wanted to take a look at that out of interest's sake because I had totally not even considered it. Storage. So the drawers themselves is probably just grinding wood. The compacting drawers, it's only wrought iron level, so that's not too bad at all. The pistons just need some wrought iron stuff. Actually, brass mechanisms. So yeah, you just got to do some brass there, so that's getting yourself some nickel and copper, so that's not too bad there. And then the drawer controller's probably the main thing. So where is that guy? Oh, you'll need to find one of the diamonds from Terrafirmacraft. So that one I'm totally unsure of. And then of course you'll have to get yourself some of the redstone, which I was talking about earlier. But yeah, totally forgot about getting up to the diamonds in TFC. So that might take some research of your own to figure out how to get there, because obviously there might be some diamond ore down below, although I doubt that. I think it's just some recipe that hasn't been removed from there. And oh, it looks like you could probably get diamonds out of a fisherman's strainer, so that's something, I guess. You can get all of these jewels which don't do anything at all. And then where's the diamond? Oh, there it is. Chip diamond. Oh, you just need a chip diamond there to get into this drawer controller. So that might not be too hard at all, actually, with the strainer. anyways, that is it for me. I am signing off of TFC2. Big shout out to the mod pack. I do think that Terrafirmacraft itself was really well done within this mod pack, making it a little bit more accessible in a lot of ways, and a little bit less accessible in other ways. And I'm talking about you piece of garbage. Scar me for life. I'll never ever forget trying to make glass in this pack. And this thing, honestly, this is just going to be so satisfying for me right now. Just throw that in the trash can and be done with it forever. I do appreciate you all. I hope you enjoyed what I did manage to get through in the series. I'll probably be continuing on with another Minecraft mod pack here. The big break, if for those of you who might have been following along real time, quote unquote, I did get into playing Valheim. So that had kind of totally distracted me from doing anything else. And I'm also a Path of Exile player, so when my internet is good, I'm playing Path of Exile, and when my internet goes to crap, which is usually most evenings, is when I play my offline games like Minecraft, and then more recently it was Valheim, which I just got super sucked into and totally ignored the mod pack. Also knowing that the mod pack was still in development, I was kind of waiting to see what kind of changes were coming along with that, but obviously there's nothing major going on with the development of the mod pack unless he's waiting for some mod authors to finish some things that he wants to put in or wants to change, or is changing himself, as for evidenced. And I do believe it's that Binker's Bond Struct mod, which is helping with the ratios, putting in the interaction of the Terrafirmacraft ores with the Tinker's Smeltery liquids. Alrighty, enough rambling. I will see you, or I do hope to see you all on the next series, and if not, I do appreciate the views. Take care.